Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now guys, I have never really liked how Lamido Sanusi became the Emir of Kano because he was rigged and forced onto that throne. The real person that was actually meant to be the new Emir of Kano is Ado Bayero, the son of the late Emir, who was meant to succeed his father. And he did succeed his father for a moment, but then of course, in the usual magic that is Nigeria, by some sort of abracadabra, suddenly he was yanked off that throne and Lamido Sanusi was installed. So I do not like how Lamido Sanusi became the Emir of Kano, but for me really, Lamido Sanusi is the perfect person to be the Emir of that kingdom, because he, more than anyone else that has ever been on that throne, has the international exposure, the national exposure, the intellectual capacity and the brevity of mind to speak what is necessary for the development of not just his people but the whole of the Nigerian entity and indeed the whole of Africa at large. So he is the perfect person for that throne, but again I have to say that I do not agree with how he became the Emir. Yes, I like the fact that he is the Emir because he would do a far better job than Adebayero would ever do. Adebayero would just be a sleepy Emir who is collecting his usual dollars from Aso Rock and keeping his people in check and doing as he's told. But nobody can ever accuse Lamido Sanusi of doing as he's told. Nobody tells Lamido Sanusi what to do or how to do it, and for that he is the perfect person for that throne. So with that, I bring you this. Northerners always blame Igbos when it is actually our fault, and this statement is attributed to Emir Sanusi. So that's the headline. Northerners always blame Igbos when it is actually our fault, and it is Lamido Sanusi saying this. So now let's get into what the Emir has to say. The Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, on Saturday urged the Northerners to stop apportioning blame to Igbos and Yorubas when it is actually their fault. This, he said on Saturday, whilst advocating for jail terms for the parents of kidnapped Kano children for neglecting their children to roam aimlessly in the streets. On October the 12th, the Kano State Police Command announced the rescue of 9 children kidnapped in Kano and trafficked to Onitsha in Anambra State. The abduction of the children had sparked public outcry, with the presidency, Jama'atu Nasaru Islam, Christian Association of Nigeria, rights groups, amongst others, condemning the act, and Kano state government setting a panel of inquiry on the matter. Speaking in his palace during the 2019 public campaign against drug abuse organized by League for Societal Protection Against Drug Abuse, LESPADA, the Emir said the parents deserved to be charged by the police. On the issue of the abducted Kano children, I have been speaking with the Obi of Onitsha on the issue. We are keeping track on the issue. We heard all manners of outrage against Igbos that our children were stolen. Did the Igbo kidnappers enter into your house to abduct the child, or did you allow your child to roam in the streets aimlessly? We must tell ourselves the truth. When the first parents reported the case of their missing children to me, I said, had I got the powers, I would have sent the parents to jail. I even directed that the Commissioner of Police should be asked if we have any law called criminal negligence. Don't we have such law? Whoever comes to report abduction of his 4-year-old child whilst playing deserves to be jailed. Criminal negligence. Hausa man must change his thinking. We will always apportion blame on Igbos, Yorubas, when it is actually our fault. Now, make an attempt to adopt a child in Onitsha and see if you will find one available. Is it not true? Do they leave their 3-4-year-old children roaming the streets begging? If you can't feed your children, don't send your children to beg on your behalf. If we continue to live in self-denial, we will live to cry, shifting blame. I am not saying others are not guilty. I know tomorrow people will start saying I am blaming parents for abduction of their children. I know my statement is always misconstrued. I did not say they are not guilty, but Hausa man himself observed in proverb that if the fly is stubborn, the candy is sweet, the emir said. The monarch further observed that Hausas show negligence to their family, saying cases of children drowning in wells are linked to absence of showing love to family. A man will marry a woman without her love. A man will father a son or daughter without showing them love. That is why Hausa man is the one who abandons his child. As I have always said, the palace courtiers will bear witness to me. There are cases presented before us that a 3-4-year-old child fell into a well. To leave a 2-3-year-old child at home with an open well and go to mosque, in my understanding, you killed your child, but you will be crying and people will be consoling you. If you really love the child, why will you allow him to play near a well? How did that child fall into the well? You hear tales like this. He, the father, went to farm, the wife went out, you left an open well when you have a 3-4-year-old child and allow him to play around the well. Only Hausa man will do this in the whole country, the emir added. This is now the Emir of Kano, Lamido Sanusi, speaking truth to his people, because these people, they have this habit of always blaming others, especially the Igbos and Yorubas too in some instances, but especially the Igbos. The Northerners seems to have a particular thing about the Igbos. They are always quick to blame others for the things that happen within their own space. So you lack resources and you blame the Igbo man and the Yoruba man. Your child is unguarded and goes missing, and then you blame the Igbo man and the Yoruba man. So first, the abduction is one thing, and that really is something that has to be addressed, because I don't really know what an Igbo man or an Igbo person wants with an Hausa child to the point that they would go to the north and abduct their children. So that one I will follow to see if there's any truth to it, because I cannot imagine that that is true, and that strikes me as actually something that's just been made up. That strikes me as actually a made-up story. And also on that, for the moment, before I go to the second half of this narrative, just on that, it is highly irresponsible of the police command in Kano State to go out and make a public statement that they have rescued 9 Hausa children abducted by Igbo people. We all know that that is effectively striking a fire to gasoline, to striking a fire to kerosene. Is effectively a signal to ignite that place, because you already know, and the police person should know, that the Northerners view the Igbos with suspicion anyway. So if you now tell them that the Igbos are now abducting their children, you know it doesn't take that much to trigger these Northerners, because they're so low of wit. So it's already a signal then for them to take action. So we will then continue to monitor to then see what consequence follows this, because you all know how they act up there. They only need an excuse to take to the streets and start to do their jihadi, whatever it is that they do there. You all know the narrative of the Northerners, so I don't need to be descriptive for you to understand what I am saying. You all understand what I am saying. So highly irresponsible of that police chief to have made that public announcement that Hausa people were being Hausa children rather were being abducted in Kano by Igbo people. So that obviously is something that needs to be looked into. But the second half of it, of course, is what this emir is saying, that look, you have to take responsibility for yourself, because you cannot continue to blame everything on other people. Can you imagine you leave a 4-year-old child in a place where there is harm around to crawl around, and you are a 4-year-old that doesn't have any real thinking facility and everything is fascinating to him. So you leave that child to crawl around, and then that child falls into a well, and then suddenly people are coming to console you. People should be coming to flog you, not to console you, because like the emir rightly said, you are the person directly responsible for that thing. Firstly, you should not leave a 4-year-old alone at all. And secondly, there's no place that you're going to that you cannot take a 4-year-old to. You can even take a 4-year-old to a place of business. If you take a 4-year-old to a business appointment and you explain to the person that you're meeting that, look, I was the only person in charge of this child, and obviously you can see how small the child is, and I could not leave this child by himself or herself, so I decide to bring him or her with me. Not only would that person be impressed with you, the person would actually even want to, you know, give you whatever it is that you came to seek for, because he's already identified in you a responsible person, because this is what a responsible person does. So it is the converse then. An irresponsible person will be the sort of person that would leave a child where an open well is, where the child can easily crawl into that well, and then that child then crawls into that well, and then tragedy occurs, and then people are then coming to console him. People, like I said, should be coming to flog that person, not to console them. So that I agree with, and really, but this thing that this Emir is saying is really what I wanted to address, that it is now time for these northerners to start taking responsibilities for themselves and stop blaming Igbos and Yorubas for anything. Anytime they catch a cold in the north, it's the Yoruba man, it's the Igbo man. Conversations in the comment section. What the Emir said is the topic of discussion. Come tell me what your take is. We're talking Hausas, Yorubas, and Igbos on this one, and the Emir's take on that trilogy. Come tell me how you see it. But before you come share thoughts, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. Bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Then come tell me what you're making of what the Emir said in the comment section. So I'll leave you here. Join me in the comment section. But here I say peace.